Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flex here with a review for Final Destination. With the new Final Destination movie coming out, the first one since 2011, I want to say, 2012, maybe it was. I thought it'd be a good chance to take a look back at this franchise that started 25 years ago, and this was an interesting film that I saw in theaters way back in the day, and I was blown away. I really thought this was an interesting horror film that they tried to advertise in the same vein of Scream and capitalize and kind of group it in with that chunk of slasher films. This one is even shot a little more like a slasher film than its sequels would be. But I thought it was really interesting and complex. And the slasher film of it all seems to have been a misstep and aged this specific installment a little bit out of its relevancy, because you watch this movie and it is the least like a Final Destination films. The franchise would eventually become like Rube Goldberg death machines that would unfurl themselves as the film would progress. And this film doesn't really follow that structure. In fact, this one has a unique structure that feels a little more episodic in nature, and it's not lost on me as to why that is. A little bit of backstory about this film is that this was originally pitched as part of the X-Files franchise. Now, I've heard mixed reports. I've heard that it's either been originally pitched as an episode of the X-Files, and I also have heard that it was pitched as a feature film for the X-Files, the first feature film, in fact. And when it was originally pitched, the idea was kind of chickened because they felt that the first movie of the X-Files, so much associated with like aliens and stuff like that, the first movie should feature aliens in and of itself. And this didn't really offer that, but they really liked the idea, so they opted to release the film and shop it, or the script, and shop it around to other studios, extracting the Mulder and Scully from the story and reframing it to a more teen audience. And this is the film that follows in that mold, which is why it feels a lot less like the Final Destinations that would be forthcoming after this film's release, and feels much more like almost an episode of the Twilight Zone, which, when X-Files was at its best, really kind of captured and tapped into that style of storytelling. And this is where this film's strength lay. It is an incredibly good script, with a really, really great performance by Devon Sawa to sell everything. If you don't buy into this dude's ability to have seen this premonition and start mapping the pieces together and becoming kind of erratic throughout the film, you're just not going to buy into the film. But Devon Sawa is completely able to sell that in a credible way. And he's great. And he's easily the best character in the film. Clear Rivers is a somewhat interesting character and played very well by Larter. And the rest of the cast seems to be portrayed pretty well. Seann William Scott is an interesting choice, because that dude is built like a brick shithouse, and he clearly has like this cool man quality to him, yet he's playing the weird nerd dude that everybody picks on. He feels miscast. However, in the individual scenes, he's playing the scenes well, and it's like his performance is there, his size is too big to match that. I don't believe that anybody would be able to pick on that guy. And I've maintained that from day one. Yet I do like Seann William Scott, and I like him in the movie, but he's an excellent example of what I'm talking about with how this film would be handled in sequels. Like, this film has two kind of Rube Goldberg-y kind of death scenes, and that is with the character of Todd, who gets hung, and with the teacher, Miss Lawson, I want to say, who gets ultimately stabbed. And you see like these inner workings of little tiny things that lead to another, that lead to another, that lead to another, that will lead to that character's death. And that follows through for a fair amount of the characters to some extent, but it's really, really capitalized on in the sequels to this film. But this film has two sudden, shocking deaths. One with the decapitation of the Billy character, and the other with the exceptional drop fucking dead scene, which is, my god, that is glorious. Yeah, this film is less fun than the sequels because it's more of a movie. This is a story unfolding and good storytelling at that. It does fall to some of the cheaper aspects of trying to capitalize on that post-Scream slasher film craze with like the trying to do snappy dialogue when the teens are trying to be teens and bantering and stuff like that. It kind of feels dated and it feels a little artificial. It doesn't feel as strong as the scenes where the mystery is at play. But I just am obsessed with the idea of this film, uncovering death's design when one was supposed to die. And that in and of itself is just great Twilight Zone-y storytelling. And this is one that I loved back in the day, and I hold true to that now. This is a really good, intense thriller that's light on scares, but maximizes its suspense. And it gave way to a franchise that I don't think ever even comes close to the quality of this first movie, but is also one of the most fun sort of horror franchises out there. Which, at the very least, you can say that the movies are always pretty damn entertaining. This one just happens to be good to boot. The last thing I want to talk about is the exceptional use of foreshadowing throughout this. This movie invites multiple viewings because there's so much layered within, be it about foreshadowing the plane crash explosion in and of itself, or the visual clues as to how everybody's going to die. My favorite of which is when the teacher's gonna get it, you keep seeing these symbols of knives and daggers and stuff, right down to the dagger in her window. It's like a window pane that is like a glass dagger that you can see pointing right at her. It's great. There's a lot of that all throughout the film. I thought that was glorious. But I'm a big fan of Final Destination 1, and I'm looking forward to revisiting all the sequels. I've seen the second one a couple of times. I've only seen the other ones in theaters once a piece. So I'm excited to revisit some of those, and maybe their qualities will have gone up in my opinion. But yeah. Final Destination gets a very strong 3.5 out of 4 stars for me. It's one of my favorite horror films of its decade. And let me know what you think of the first Final Destination in the comment area down below. There's a fair amount of people that feel a little less on this one just because it's so different in approach than the sequels. And a lot of them like the death scenes, but I think the story on this is where it's at, man. This is such good storytelling. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.